Hey everybody, Ali Duzette here, and we have some crazy eclipses coming up. Basically, like right now, March 14th, 2025, we've got a total lunar eclipse. And then in just 2 weeks after that, on March 29th, we have a solar eclipse. And these two eclipses together are probably going to herald some long-term, possibly permanent changes in all of our personal lives and also on a geopolitical scale. And so I want to talk about it. And I've already recorded the videos to come out every single day of this eclipse window in between these two eclipses. So if you like and subscribe, you'll have access to all of those videos right as they come out to help support us as we go through every single day of this 2 week eclipse window, because there's just a lot going on with it that this is a little bit of an unusual eclipse, and I'm going to explain why. So the first thing that we have to understand is that eclipses never happen one alone. They always happen in sets of two or three, 2 weeks apart. Okay, so right now this is a two-set eclipse where we have a lunar eclipse and then a solar eclipse, and it's because of the math of the geometry of how the sun and moon are interacting with each other. If you have a lunar eclipse, you are going to have a solar eclipse. If you have a solar eclipse, you are also going to have a lunar eclipse 2 weeks apart because of how the sun and moon are moving, and that is just how it is. Now, on a physical body level, remember that all of our bodies are really affected by gravity. And just as an example, think about how the moon impacts the gravitational pull, like the gravitational pull of the moon impacts how water moves all over the earth and includes the water inside of your body. And a recent study came out showing that the movement of Mars also impacts the flow of water on this planet. Well, guess who else is on this planet? Guess who's 70% water? It's you. The movement of the planet Mars is impacting the movement of the water inside of your body. And that, in my opinion, is how all of this works, why the planetary movements impact our physical experiences on this earth. It's because of gravitational pull. So what happens when we have a lunar eclipse? We have the sun on one side, the moon on one side, and then the earth is right in between them, and it casts this shadow upon the moon. And in that moment, the connection between the sun and the moon has been disrupted. On a physical level, on a spiritual level, the sun represents our core sense of self, and the moon represents kind of like our feelings, our emotions, our more transitory senses of how we're interacting with the world. And in that moment of a lunar eclipse, that connection is severed. And it opens up a new space and time where we can let go of things that are not serving us anymore in a more powerful way than we can normally. When we have a solar eclipse, when the sun and the moon have lined up just right into one little segment of the zodiac, this, so we have the moon in between the earth and the sun. It's disrupting our earth connection to the sun. And it's disrupting our connection with our core sense of self. And so these two disruptions can shake up things that are going on in our lives. And we see that on a personal level. And I would bet if you go back and look through time at previous eclipses that you've experienced, you will see that crazy stuff was happening during eclipses and you just didn't even make the connection. Okay. And you've lived through tons of eclipses. We get between 4 and 6 eclipses every single calendar year. And so you've lived through a lot of them. But this one is another one, and now you're here so you can learn more about how to use this energy as you go through your life, and you will understand more of what's going on in the world around you as we're dealing with this big eclipse energy. Because, okay, so we have these two disruptions with a lunar eclipse and a solar eclipse, and they're happening 2 weeks apart. And in the middle of that 2 weeks, it's like traveling through a wormhole, okay? We have so many opportunities for situations to show up that help us let go of what we need to let go of, and then to kind of reset, okay? New moons and solar eclipses are always an opportunity for resetting and rebirth. And that is especially true with this exact solar eclipse that's coming up in 2 weeks because it is a solar eclipse in the area of Aries on the zodiac, and Aries deals with new birth. So we're looking at some really big new beginnings, and I think we're going to see it personally. I think we're going to see it geopolitically. I recently posted a video about the new moon in Pisces that kicked off this eclipse cycle. back on, I think, February the 28th. That day was a little infamous because of an exciting meeting in the Oval Office about Ukraine. And all of that was indicated in the astrological record, and I cover that in depth in this other video if you go check out my channel. But we can see that, international relationships shifted that day. And we're looking at probably some more shifts tomorrow and more shifts in the next 2 weeks. And the stuff that happens in this time period between March 14th and March 29th, this is going to change the tone and create a new kind of attitude going forward that's going to impact a lot of lives. That is going to be my guess. And so I don't know what exactly is going to happen in these next 2 weeks, but I do know that it's worth paying attention to. And one thing that we need to understand about eclipses is that the changes that tend to happen in that 2-week window between eclipses tend to be very permanent. It tends to, change things irrevocably. And so whatever kind of things are going to happen in the next 2 weeks on a personal level, on a geopolitical level, we can expect that we're going to see the ramifications of these decisions and these actions playing out for months to come. Now, our next set of eclipses is taking place in August and September, and we'll talk about those then. But this set coming up, I just think that the Oval Office meeting on the 28th indicates, okay, we're looking at some interesting, really big shifts. And so let's go ahead and talk about these eclipses and what exactly we're looking at. And again, I've already made some videos for every single day of this eclipse window because it is really important to me that we have some good personal support as we are going through this. And this is going to be a little bit of an unusual eclipse situation because here you can see the sun right here, right down here at 23 degrees of Pisces. And look at all of these planets right in a row right after. Now, the sun moves about 1 degree of the zodiac every single day. So today, on the 14th, it will be at the 23rd degree of Pisces. And then the next day it'll be at 24 degrees of Pisces. The next day it'll be 25 degrees of Pisces. And so in between two eclipses, the sun moves about 14 degrees, which is really not very much. That's about half of one of these zodiac signs, okay? So it moves about that far. And so in this example, we're going to move the sun from about right here to right here. And as you can see, that is not a lot of space on a zodiac. However, because of how many planets are right here, the sun is going to be exact one after the next for basically this whole 2-week window. We're going to see the sun become exact to the North Node. The sun will be exact Neptune. The sun will be exact Venus. The sun will be exact Mercury. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 major tight conjunctions in less than 2 weeks. And every single time the sun whacks those, it's like this whole big amount of energy that's going to highlight the role of all of those things in our lives. So as a really brief overview, we're going to have opportunities to see what we should be doing with our lives. This is a powerful time to get new insight on your life mission or your life purpose. There's going to be a lot of support for us to improve our intuition and to connect in a greater way with our creator and with our own bodies and deciding in making our decisions from an enlightened space. The sun is going to be exact Venus in retrograde, which is going to really shine a light on where we need to rethink how we're showing up in our relationships, with our finances, with how we're taking care of our bodies and our image and the image that we're putting forth to the world. The sun is going to be exact Mercury, which will be going retrograde. It's going to go retrograde just basically hours after this lunar eclipse. And whenever Mercury goes retrograde, it invites us all to rethink a lot of things. It's going to invite us to rethink how we're communicating with people and to rethink our own thoughts. When I'm looking at what's going on in the next 2 weeks with this set of eclipses, I'm thinking, okay, We are being massively invited to reconsider almost every aspect of our lives. And the interesting thing about this is that it's going to happen organically. You don't have to do anything to have stuff show up into your awareness that's going to draw your attention to these themes. Okay. However, if you go into it intentionally and thinking about what you want to get out of this eclipse, this is a powerful time to let things go that aren't serving you and to be powerfully reborn so you can be launched into your future. And if you go into it with intention, if you know what you're dealing with, that's going to be just much more effective and much more powerful. Now, during eclipse windows, everybody has things show up that's there to show them where things might need to change in their lives. Okay. During eclipse windows, we have tough conversations. We have like accidents and events that happen, injuries sometimes. I mean, like it just depends person to person. Sometimes people have a really chill eclipse window, and that can be normal too, but things show up in our lives that highlight different areas where we might need to rethink things. Not everybody does rethink things though. Okay. That's what I want to clarify, is that just because we have these opportunities to heal and grow and shift and change for the better does not mean that everybody does. A lot of people simply do not, and I know that people like this, where no matter how bad things get, they like double down and they will not change. And invitation after invitation might show up for these people saying, get it together, get it together. And they just don't. They just have no interest in that. And so my invitation to you is to be the person who notices what is showing up for you in the next 2 weeks and use that as an opportunity to change for the better. All of us have ways that we could improve ourselves and improve our lives. And these 2 weeks are a powerful time to do that. Let's go ahead and take a look at the chart of the solar eclipse coming up on March 29th. Look at this. I ran this from Washington, D.C. because I usually run my charts from that area, just because I feel like as America goes, so goes the world. And I'm very interested in both our personal situations and the global situation that is happening as a result of these kinds of astronomical movements. So this eclipse, you can see that it's happening at 9 degrees of Aries and 00 minutes exactly. So interesting. And right next to the ascendant at 7 degrees, and the ascendant and the part of fortune are exact at 7 degrees and 38 minutes. This part of fortune is going to send a lot of blessings on our journey through this eclipse window. We can expect that whatever big rebirths we experience at this time are there to bless us. They may not be fun. They may not be fun. And looking at just all of the intensity of the energy here, look at all of this all in a row. That is called intensity, my friends. This is probably going to be intense. That doesn't mean it has to be hard. Okay. Roller coasters are intense, but they can be very fun, right? There are a lot of things going on here that, we're probably going to have some big wake-up calls. We're probably going to experience some wake-up calls on a personal level and, on a national level and a global level. But if you personally and I personally, if we personally come at it strong in our connection with God, strong in our connection with our own intuition, coming at it from a space of humility and willingness to see where we've been wrong in the past, willingness to be open to some new perspectives and considering some new ideas. The new perspectives and new ideas that we get exposed to in the next 2 weeks are not necessarily going to be true and may not be like the best for us to adopt, but we will be exposed to them, and we're going to be exposed to them for the purpose of really considering them, taking it seriously, reasoning through it, feeling through it, and seeing if we do need to revise some kind of way that we're thinking about the world. If we go into this next 2 weeks really prideful, really stubborn, feeling like we are not really willing to change, very sure that we are right in all of our thoughts, and then we get exposed to these new ideas that, you know, shake us up, or if we're exposed to new ideas that we don't even give them the time of day, I feel like we are not taking advantage of this powerful time period as much as we could be. I hope that makes sense. But with this interesting eclipse, we can expect that on the other side of this, we're going to be different. We will be different people. Now, that does not always mean that we're going to be drastically different. It doesn't mean that I'm probably going to shave off all my hair and like dye my buzz cut green. Like that is probably not likely, but these changes, while they may appear subtle on the surface, can actually have a lot more depth to them than we realize in the moment. So whether this eclipse cycle is hectic and crazy for you, or whether it's eerily calm and boring and comfortable for you, the changes that you do experience either way are going to be meaningful and important for the next 6 months of your life until we get to the next series of eclipses. So I want to go back again to the lunar eclipse that is happening on March 14th. Here we go. Because I want to mention that this is happening on the Virgo-Pisces axis, okay, with the sun in Pisces and the moon in Virgo. And this axis is all about delusion, I would say. Pisces is famously linked to delusion because Pisces is really tied to spirituality, sometimes to the exclusion of being grounded in reality. And guess what? I don't know. I am a Virgo. I was born during a Virgo-Pisces eclipse, and my own natal eclipse that I was born under is coming up in the next eclipse cycle. So I really know this dynamic quite well, and I don't mean to offend anybody who has a lot of Pisces. I have a lot of Pisces. So, but Pisces is so connected with spirituality that sometimes it can lose its grounding and become delusional in its understanding of reality because it's like not really connected to it very well. At the same time, the gift of Pisces is that it is so spiritual. It is, it does have this incredible connection with God and with these ideas of universalism. So interestingly, just because you have a lot of Pisces does not mean that you will be religious or very spiritual. There are plenty of atheists with a lot of Pisces. And what makes that Piscean connection so big, no matter if a person with a lot of Pisces is religious or just spiritual or, an atheist or something, if they're anti-spiritual, they're still probably going to have a lot of that Pisces experience of viewing the world as very interconnected, viewing individuals as very connected with each other, with nature, with the earth, with the universe as a whole. So those are some of the energies going on with Pisces. Pisces is also the sign of the outcast. It's the sign of endings. It's the sign of loss. It's the sign of letting things go so that we can move into Aries right here and be reborn. This is the beginning of the zodiac right here with Aries, and Pisces is the end of the zodiac. So these are all some themes that we're probably going to see over the next couple of weeks as we're dealing with this powerful total lunar eclipse. Now over here we have the moon in Virgo, and this exact opposition is what makes this a lunar eclipse. Virgo is also delusional, but Virgo is delusional because it's so logical, and Virgo is deeply grounded. Virgo is nothing if not practical. Virgo needs everything to have a purpose. Virgo looks at things from a detail-oriented perspective, highly analytic, very discriminating, not in a sense, not in like a, illegal sense. Do you know what I mean? But like, as far as it ranks things and sorts things and looks at stuff and evaluates it for, does this make sense? Does it not make sense? And so you would think that Virgo would be not very delusional, but the secret is Virgo is just as delusional as Pisces, because where Pisces is fixated on the bigger picture and can kind of lose sight of the smaller picture and reality in that sense, Virgo hyper fixates on details and loses sight of the big picture and can become delusional that way. And both Virgo and Pisces can get really wrapped up in this idea that they are right, that their view of the world is right. With Virgo, because Virgo is so analytic, Virgo's judgments are really based in logic and reason. Usually Virgos have spent a lot of time considering their opinions and their beliefs, and so they're right. They just are super correct, at least in their own minds. I can say this, I am a Virgo. And so I know for real that that is how I've approached the world for many, many years. And to some extent, I still do approach the world this way of saying, well, I have done a lot of research on whatever, and so I'm pretty sure that I'm right. The end. And so both Virgo and Pisces have to be careful not to get delusional about this idea that they're right, okay? Because sometimes they're wrong. And that is going to be the flavor of this eclipse happening on March 14th. And it's going to be the flavor of the 2 weeks in between that March 14th and March 29th. And the stuff that shows up during this time is going to impact us for months to come. So the big question that we have to ask ourselves with this is, where am I being delusional? Where am I so sure that I'm really, really, really right, but maybe I'm less correct than I think I am? Is it possible that I could be less correct than I actually think I am? And these can be really painful questions, and that's one reason why I wonder if this next 2 weeks may be pretty painful for some people. If we have a lot of pride wrapped up in being right all the time, this eclipse portal may kick our trash. This is a big invitation to be humble, to be willing to be wrong, to consider different perspectives. And with both Mercury going into retrograde and Venus in retrograde, I'm going to say that this is a really important time not to take our own thoughts too seriously. Okay. It's going to be really important and really much better if we can take a look at our beliefs, and if we start getting upset, if we start having a nervous breakdown, if we start really questioning things that we've really believed in for a very long time over the next few weeks, it's going to be really critical that we take a step back and just don't take our thoughts too seriously. We need to be a little bit objective about it. And the more that we can observe our thoughts without getting emotionally wrapped up in them, the easier and more pleasant of an experience we're all going to have. And I've made these videos that are coming out over the next couple of days to help us as the sun is making these transits through just this little tiny little slice of the zodiac. And I think that those are going to be really supportive to all of us, because it's just really important that we stay grounded, that we stay a little bit objective when emotions are flying high in the next 2 weeks. If we can sit there and say, oh, wait a minute, I knew that things were going to be a little wacko this week, and I don't have to participate. Like, I can take a deep breath. I can observe this instead of creating it and, driving it. That is going to be really, really powerful. One thing to note right here that I've talked about in some videos coming up, but this little triangle between the sun and the moon and Uranus in Taurus, Uranus governs unexpected events. And the events that show up with Uranus, invite us to be honest with ourselves and to step into greater authenticity. And this is going to be a big theme over the next 2 weeks. If unexpected events show up in your life by surprise over the next 2 weeks, remember that your big goal here is to stay emotionally honest and be authentic to yourself. Your goal is to be a little bit rational and a little bit objective about where your belief systems may have failed you, where maybe your old way of looking at the world has not served you, where maybe you might need to shift things up. be open to some new perspectives. And so in the next 2 weeks, I have a bunch of tapping scripts in these videos and journaling prompts and stuff to help us uh, be as open as we need to be for the changes that we need to make, and to also do it hopefully in partnership with our intuition, with our creator, so that we have the optimal experience. Now, everybody during an eclipse cycle, we all experience exactly what we need to experience. Okay, nobody's late, nobody's running out of time or something like that. We all have the exact right experiences for us, and our timelines are all perfect. And that's like the big takeaway that I have gotten from studying the movement of the stars and its impact on our lives. Everything happens at exactly the right time, and it cannot happen at the wrong time. Things cannot happen at the wrong time. It just is not possible, in my opinion. And so as we head into this, I just want to have that on all of our perspective, on all of our radars. I want all of us to have that perspective of that things are happening on the right timeline for me. My life is unfolding at exactly the right pace. Things are showing up in exactly the right moment, down to the minute, down to the second. Things are showing up for me at exactly the right time, at exactly the right place. If we can hold on to that perspective, we can get through the next 2 weeks, hopefully easy peasy, hopefully gracefully letting go of things that are not serving us and stepping into our powerful next step of our journey. So man, if you want to do something in support of all of this today, what I'm going to recommend is setting some intentions. What do you want to get out of the next 2 weeks? If you have a big mental shift that you want to experience right now, this is a great time to at least just throw that intention out there into the world, and just say, I commit to the reality that I really do want to, start an exercise routine, manage my diet better. I really want to read the books that I want to read. I really want to learn this thing. I really want to do that. This is a great time to really kind of emotionally commit to it. Even if you don't feel totally ready to emotionally commit to it, what we're doing is saying, this is what I want. And I want to spend the next 2 weeks between these eclipses sorting out what is inside of me that keeps me from accomplishing these intentions. Doing that today can be really powerful. And thinking about what do you really want out of life? This is the big secret of life. You can't have what you want if you don't know what you want. So if you do not know what you want out of life, that is a little bit problematic if you want to have a good life. So this is a great time to think about what you want. What do you want out of life? And then think about what kind of person has what I want. So for example, if we talk about like weight, what kind of person has a fit body? Well, that person probably, you know, eats, X amount of calories a day and hits the gym 3 times a week. That's the kind of person that has that body. So how do I become that person? How do I become that kind of person? If I want to be a person who speaks French and I have no French background, what kind of person goes from where I am to learning French? Well, they probably, get a French textbook. They probably set aside 15 or 30 minutes a day to practicing French. How do I become the person who accomplishes what I want to accomplish? So the more that we are thinking about that and going into this eclipse cycle with that perspective, that is going to be really powerful. If we use our power of agency, our ability to decide what we want out of life, and then we go forward and do the things, that's going to be really powerful. And that's powerful any time of year. It's powerful all the time. But the stars have literally aligned to be extra powerful for the next 2 weeks. So if you have a few minutes today to set some intentions, to think about what you really want in life, that is going to be really, really great. Now, before I go, I want to share my main website with you, allieduzatclasses.com. These are sessions that they're kind of like guided imagery. You don't have to, I don't know, they're similar to hypnosis, but you don't have to go into hypnosis. You can just listen to the audio while you do the dishes or fold the laundry or drive around or whatever. And if you haven't started anything, go to the foundational sessions, working through those today, tomorrow, the next day. That's going to be really powerful to help jumpstart your journey with this eclipse. And these are free. So no commitment at all, but signing up for those and actually starting to work through them can be very, very life-changing. Even if you're very familiar with healing work, I've had people that have done years, even like a decade or more of healing work, and they do those foundational sessions and say it changes their lives. In here, you're going to okay, these are the modules in here, how to get the most out of your sessions. It just teaches you how to do this stuff. You Deserve to Heal helps you clear out the part of you that thinks that you don't deserve to heal. If you believe on any level that you are guilty and need some kind of problem as a punishment, you will never heal. So that will clear that out. Calling back your personal power. If you've ever felt controlled by somebody, if you ever have capitulated to somebody because you were afraid of them or didn't want to disappoint them, if you feel like you don't have real control over your life, you need this session, and it's free and it's just right in there. So just do it and let it change your life. Resetting your polarity helps your whole system move forward. Some of us have stuff going on in our bodies and minds that kind of keep us going backwards or going in kind of weird loops in how we are living our lives. And this will reset that. The grounding session helps us connect with the earth. If you've heard of like grounding sheets or stuff like that, this accomplishes the same shift in your body basically, but you get to do it just by listening to the audio and like following the instructions. I'll tell you like tap the following sentence or whatever, and it's very easy. And then we have some lessons on how to get spiritual answers very easily and very quickly. That's intuitive calibration. Understanding scribbling will help you clear massive emotions in a really short amount of time. This is a lesson on tapping, and then my complete class guide walks you through everything that we've got here, which is dozens of sessions. Now on Saturday, March 15th at 9 in the morning, I have scheduled the drama session. And so we're going to be recording this one live. And the drama session is all about if you or people in your life are addicted to causing drama, you know what I'm talking about, probably, hopefully, where like the backbiting, the gossip, the jerk moves where people are just causing trouble and like stirring the pot just for the heck of it. Sometimes we initiate some pot stirring ourselves, and sometimes other people in our families are very dramatic and cause lots of problems that way. We're going to do the drama session on Saturday. You can register for it right there. My intention is that this is going to bless our interpersonal relationships in a serious way, and I scheduled it for then because of this Mercury retrograde plus Venus retrograde. This is a powerful time to get that work done. And if you're watching this after the fact, still a powerful time to go watch the recording. You do not need to be there live. The recording will be just as effective. And you can do this first for yourself and then for your minor child. Any child in your legal guardianship, you can do that for. So I'm going to be doing this session, and then I probably need to do that for my little preteen who loves herself some little good drama. And so that will be a good session. In a few days, I have scheduled I need to move it all the way up to the top, but it's at the bottom for now. I've scheduled the divine mission session because we have a lot of support to figure out our divine missions and to get more clarity on that. And that is going to be taking place on Tuesday, March 18th. And okay, other ones that we are going to want to consider in preparation for this eclipse, I'm going to say definitely the blessings session. Right here, the blessing session is going to help us open up to receiving more blessings during this eclipse cycle. Okay, we're just going to scroll through coping with big changes here at the change session. That's going to be really powerful. If you haven't done this session, I'm going to recommend it. We do have some big changes ahead. You know, the next couple of weeks, we're going to see some big changes, and the changes that happen then are going to lead to other changes over the next 6 months. So if you don't like change, if you are going through some big changes already, if you have big changes that are obviously on the horizon, this one is going to be really recommended. Okay, let's see what else is going to be good. Healing your energy field. That's like your bubble or like your aura. That is probably going to be really good for this 2 weeks so that you're not overly impacted by other people's energies during this time. Okay, the frustration session is probably going to be good because we're going to have to let go of a lot of things and experience that rebirth with the eclipse coming up on the 29th. And so I don't know about you, I hate starting over. I hate feeling like I wasted effort. I hate feeling like I have to start from scratch. And some of us are going to have those feelings. And if that is going to be you, I'm going to recommend the frustration session. And I want to mention this pick your price point thing. So this learn more button tells you about, what's going on in the session. But when you go to order with a majority of my sessions, there's a bunch of options because I know that not everybody can always afford a pricey session. So you pick the price point that fits with your budget. And my goal is that the majority of my work is affordable for people that do not have a lot of money. When I first got into this work, I had $0 and I was hiring this lady who charged like $100 a session. She charged $90 a session. It took me months to save up to work with her. She was great, but I was broke, and so my goal has been to make the majority of my sessions things that regular people who may be broke as I was broke can afford them. So go through and see if something, I don't know, a lot of things are set up so that you can choose the price point on them. And that's what is going on with all of those numerous things. Manifest generate is going to be helpful because that's actually a great one today. I think I'm going to email everybody. This is a great one to do today because the next 2 weeks are going to help us let go of what's standing in the way of us doing what we want to do with our lives. And manifest generate is a session that helps us get out of our own way so that we can experience the kind of resources and situations that we want to experience. Okay. Any other ones? Those are probably the big ones that I would recommend right now as we're preparing for this eclipse. But yeah, I've got a couple sessions scheduled for the next 2 weeks as we jump into it. And so keep an eye out. If you sign up for the foundational sessions on my website, it will sign you up also to my email list. So you will get an email when those sessions are happening. So, okay. Thank you guys for being here. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new around here. All of these videos have been scheduled to come out early in the morning. I have my East Coast buddies that like to listen at 6 in the morning while they are getting ready for work. So I tried to schedule them so that is available at that time. And I'm excited for us. I think we're going to have a good time. I think some of us are going to have a crazy time. Some of us are going to have a chill time. And that's going to be great. But for all of us, we are going to experience some radical shifts that are going to massively bless our lives if we go into it with the right attitude and with an openness and humility and willingness of heart to see where we need to change so that we can be open to bigger and better things, bigger and better blessings, and to have the lives that we really want to have. So thank you guys for being here, and I'll see you bright and early tomorrow as we start our way through this eclipse cycle.